Welcome to DJ Music Store. In my videos, I discuss anything related to music. Today, I will be discussing a very brief history of marching band instruments. When I thought about doing this video, I thought it'd be so cool to show a real marching band. But then you have to get all the release forms signed, and that was just way too much hassle. So let's get started. Let's go back in time to find out when marching band instruments were first used in a marching band. If we look way back to ancient times, we see that troubadours, or roving musicians, played music as they walked the street. They weren't officially a band, but when they encountered each other, they would play together, usually with fifes, which are like piccolos, but they had a louder and shriller tone, and they also used fiddles. If you search in the Bible, you'll discover flutes, drums, and trumpets were played as a prelude to battle to signal that priests were arriving who led the armed men. Later, marching band instruments were played to reward troops for their courage during wartime. Eventually, armies needed help in moving troops over long distances while maintaining order, and so a structured military band was formed. Infantries used pipes and drums, and the cavalry used kettle drums. These same instruments remained the same for centuries. Finally, in 1690, the oboe was added, which led to other instruments being added in different countries. Then, during the Revolutionary War, percussion instruments were used to keep the beat to march troops over long distances, and to uplift the spirits of men, fifes were used. Bugles and kettle drums relayed commands to faraway soldiers over long distances. By the 1800s, marching band instruments weren't even needed anymore to move troops, so concert bands were formed. And the music that they played a lot were marches. And who wrote all those marches? None other than John Philip Sousa himself. Then by the early 1900s, marching band instruments entertained at college football games during the halftime shows. And similar to the way military troops marched in blocks, the marching bands also made these same formations out on the field. Eventually, they developed their own type of patterns that were more entertaining to the spectators. And they also added auxiliary units that had baton twirlers, rifle twirlers, and flags, which added to all the entertainment. And by the 1950s, not only were college bands entertaining on the field, but also high school bands were too during the football halftime shows. And then eventually in the 1970s, band competitions came about with cavalcades, in which all the bands got together in the area or in the state, and they competed against each other to see who could entertain the most with all of their different formations. And even today, the marching bands will still maintain the military style that started way back when. You'll see marching bands using the same type of uniforms, some of the same styles of marching, and even the commands that are used still are similar to the military style marching bands. So, what marching band instruments are in a marching band? Well, in the brass section, it's usually the trombones, baritones, trumpets, horns, cornets, and tubas. And in the woodwind section, there's usually saxophones, clarinets, flutes, and piccolos. And usually the double reed instruments are not in the marching band just because of their more delicate, and the weather can damage them much more easily. In the percussion section of the marching band, there's generally xylophones, clash cymbals, snare drums, bass drums, and tenor drums. And All of these instruments, even today, they continue to play in parades, football games, cavalcades, band competitions, and other prestigious events like presidential inaugurations. Over time, marching band instruments grew from just one or two instruments all the way up to a full band of instruments to make that beautiful, majestic sound that is so familiar to most of us. Thank you so much for listening to my video. And if you're in need of any marching band instruments, you can check out DJ Music Store, where you can find instruments that are affordable at discounted prices. I also offer string instruments and guitars and loads of accessories. And if you have a particular instrument or accessory in mind that you don't see in our store, you can always email me and I'll most likely be able to get it for you. Everyone have a great day.